Hi everyone, welcome to the video. I have a bit of an interesting one for you because I want to go over 5 signs that the universe, that God's source is drawing you towards someone, wants you to be with someone. And there are a few different things I've found that will start to really appear in your life if this is the case. Now, with any of these videos that has to do with signs or numbers or things of that nature, I always like to remind you that to use your own discernment with these, to not take them as gospel or immediately correct just because I'm saying them here, but to really tune in and to see if they resonate with you. And also to realize there's more that goes into this than just these 5 signs. However, if you do feel that this resonates with you, that this really hits home from a heart-based place, then this can very much ring true for you and be indicators and signs that you are being drawn towards a certain someone. And so let's jump right into it in reverse order with number 5. And this is a big one, and I found with, especially if you're drawing in what we can consider a divine union, you're drawing in something where you're going to come and co-create together, kind of like a 1 + 1 = 111 situation. And that is, they put you in your heart and not in your head. Now, we also sometimes are drawn to relationships that are meant to teach us something, right? And usually that'll be at a certain level of growth. But you can also learn a great deal by being in what's called a divine union, where really the masculine and feminine are coming together in kind of cohesion and in this kind of yin-yang kind of way. There'll still be growth and all that as well, but it's really 2 very developed people coming together. And if this person is, it's just like there's something about them, it almost seems, that just puts you into your heart. You feel less heady around them just by their presence, just by their energy. That can be a huge indicator that the universe at the very least wants you to be around them more. And just realize this isn't just about romantic relationships. This could be about friendships. This can be peers, whatever else it is. But things that put you into your heart usually is a great sign to be around whatever that energy is more often than not. And I found for people who put you in your head, at least for me, if you're aiming to live more from your heart, it's usually an indicator to move a little further and distance yourself from that energy. So this is the first sign, again, more in your heart. And again, not in some convoluted way, but just like sometimes their mere presence and just who they are, how they're resonating, can put you in that place. Now, number 4 is it's simply an intuition. It's intuitive, an inner knowing. You don't have some like checklist heady thing that goes, they tick this box and they tick this box and they have 9 out of my 10 boxes ticked. You know, that's an ego game and more of a head-based game. We're talking more about a heart-based thing here. And typically what I found, especially once you're a little more developed and you're living in your own heart-centered way, if you're not, again, you may get relationships that are meant to show you something, that are meant to be feedback in a different way. But if you're already someone who's very dedicated to living in a heart-based way, very dedicated to moving down, you know, whatever you want to call it, your soul path, your heart path, your purpose, your mission, your higher self, doesn't really matter what label you give it, then a lot of times you will be drawn to people who are going to not only help you along that path, but you them. Again, this kind of cohesion and coherence and alignment where it's like 1 + 1 = 111 for both, where there is just this synergy of the masculine and feminine coming together, again, if it's a relationship. And again, in friendship as well, can just be something where it's a win-win-win situation for everyone. And a lot of times this won't, again, come from a head-based place. You're not going to think your way into heart-based living or think your way into heart-based relationships, you know, get a whiteboard out and go like, well, here's the pros of being with this person or hanging out with this person. Here are the cons. That's not going to get you very far. It's only going to get you as far as your head can take you, which if we look at things like the Hawking scale of consciousness, isn't going to take you that far at all. And so if you just have that inner knowing, there's something drawing you to this person. You know, I had this with my girlfriend Lily, just this kind of knowing of everything's we're going to be together. We're just going to be together. It feels right. And even when there were things like where there was some resistance there was always that inner knowing and intuition that ultimately, unless we get in our own way, this is going to work out and this is right for us to do. So if you're enjoying the video so far, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button. Now let's move on to number 3. Now number 3 is you keep running into them or you keep seeing them and spontaneously. So you can't force this or manufacture this. It's like, oh, I saw them at the grocery store, but you knew they were going to be there, like they work there. And it's like, oh, I keep seeing them. But it's quite literally a non-linear way of it happening. And you keep just seeing this person. You keep running into them as if like you're actually physically, through some force, some power, being brought together. And this is one that's, I think, very, very interesting, because I really do believe that when that energy is there, it wants to kind of come together. And so, again, this doesn't necessarily need to be something where you're always physically in the same place. It could be you just keep seeing them or keep hearing about them. They keep coming into your reality frame. And again, when they do, you have this almost intuitive knowing that there's something about this person or something you're drawn to about this person. I've heard so many stories of people where it's been something like that, where it's just been like, wow, we've just been drawn together. It was this synchronistic, spontaneous thing. And again, I just want to reiterate the importance of not forcing this or manufacturing this, because yeah, it sounds really cool. Like a lot of people want that kind of thing to happen. But again, you can't force it or manufacture it. I'm just giving you one of the indications that could be that you're being brought together. You're literally physically or seeing this person or hearing about this person all the time, right? And again, it's very crucial in my eyes to make sure you're not going over the line of manufacturing or forcing or seeing something that's there that's not, and just to make sure that this is a very natural thing that is occurring. But if that is occurring, again, it can be a huge indicator of that. And again, it doesn't have to be romantic, it can be friendships, can be this person that just you keep getting drawn to, and it's meant to be some great lesson you learn or amazing friendship, whatever else it is. But you'll find, again, if that energy is aligned, there will be things that bring you together in seemingly synchronistic ways. Number 2 is a huge one, and one a lot of people would rather forget or not apply or not look at, and it's you don't have a needy energy towards them. You just have, again, that intuitive knowing. When you have a neediness towards someone, that's never a heart-based thing. Your heart is never going to be needy towards something. There's difference between really having this preference of wanting a certain person in your life and going like, I think this is the person, right? It's a preference, but it's not a need. It's not, I need them to be happy. I need them to feel love. And with a lot of people I've either worked with or spoken to, this seems to be something that they like to blur the lines of. And I'm just going to say right now that you can't really blur the lines of this. If you are needy towards someone, you're going to more likely push them away. It's like if you chase something, it implies the other thing has to be running. And that's the same with people. And I'm sure for any of you, and I use this as an example all the time, if anyone has been like pursuing you in like a very needy way, let's say, what has been the natural instinct is to be repelled, is to run. And that's what you're doing when you're coming from this neediness. Like, it has to be this specific person, but they clearly don't reflect whatever feeling you have, right? Again, this is going to happen in a non-linear way, and if you're trying to force it to happen on some kind of plan you have in your head or some linear way that you've come up with, you're just going to be in for a lot of struggle and hurt in this area. So again, you feel like this natural intuitive pull towards them, and typically, not always, but typically, they're going to be feeling something fairly similar if there is that energy there, but not a neediness. I need this person for X, Y, or Z. It has to be this specific person with this specific name. Again, you can't break free will, nor really do I think you should want to do that. But if you feel this intuitive pulling, then that's different than feeling this I need them because of X, Y, or Z, which is a very low level of conscious energy. And number 1 is a little more further along, but you feel this pull having already become the person you need to become to be a part of something like that. I mentioned earlier in the video that many relationships can come about because usually both people need to learn some kind of lesson, and this isn't like some soulmate or someone you're going to be with for whatever amount of time, right? People definitely can come together because they need to, and there's a lesson to be learned. I mean, how many times have you heard of people who keep attracting essentially the same person into a relationship? It just is, they have a different name and they look different, right? But essentially it's the same kind of relationship over and over again. That's going to continue until the lesson is learned. So that can happen at, again, a different level of evolution in development. But when you've gone further along and you've become the person you need to become, which means you've learned the lessons you've needed to learn to get to the point where you can attract in something like a divine union, you will attract in someone who has also learned the lessons they've needed to learn and become who they've needed to become in order to be able to get into something with you. And this is when you feel that pull. This is what I felt with Lily, this kind of pull, because we had been doing that work and we've continually done that as well, right? But this is something where there's no getting around it. And people, one of the comments I hear from people sometimes, like, well, no, if they don't like me for who I am, then they can go screw off or whatever else it is. And you have to understand, you get to choose who you are. There's this sometimes entitled attitude from a lot of people where it's like, I just deserve someone who's like here and has worked on themselves to here, even though I'm not willing to do that and I'm here. You're never going to fill that gap until you become the person who can attract at that level. It's like a radio frequency. If you're resonating at 99.9 and you want to be in a kind of relationship that exists on 105.5, well, guess what? You will never have that kind of relationship until you start resonating, until you tune yourself to 105.5. And so when you've become the person you needed to become, who's now open and ready for that kind of relationship that many people covet, then that's when that will start opening up. That's when a lot of these other things will start to show up. All right, so that's going to do it for this video. Something else that's really going to help you as well to get my free training, the 5 Keys to Lasting Transformation. It's kind of like a free masterclass that you can gain access to that's going to really help you to become the person you need to become. So whether it's in this area or other areas of your life, again, it's not about wanting things. You don't get what you want, you get who you are, and you have to become that person, again, that's on that radio station, that frequency that attracts those things that you want. It doesn't happen the other way around. So if you want to learn how to go through lasting transformation so you can become that person, I'll leave that in the link down below in the description. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know how many of these signs kind of ring true for you that you've noticed in your own life. Remember, you are loved, and I'll see you in the next video.